Ja, hier bei Storm Audio muss ich erstmal dazu sagen, wir sind ja stolz darauf, Distributeur in Deutschland zu sein, weshalb wir jetzt hier natürlich als auch näher stehen als jetzt mit manch anderem Hersteller. Apropos stehen, neben mir ist der Sébastien Gailleton. I hope that was right.
That's perfectly right.
Hier ist der technische Produktmanager, Technical Product Manager. Ich werde mit ihm jetzt dann gleich Englisch sprechen und wir werden das jetzt nicht groß übersetzen, das ist hier im Kontext der Messe ein bisschen schwierig. Bei Fragen einfach kurz anrufen, dann kann ich gerne da weiterhelfen, wenn Sie irgendeine Info verpasst haben. Generell, Storm Audio ist eine Marke, die unabhängig jetzt von uns wahnsinnig gekommen ist. Sebastian, aside from Germany, where we do our very best to actually sell your products, tell me about the story of Storm Audio in the past 2 or 3 years in terms of sales and the typical customers you approach. Is it post-production studios? Is it the integrator or the customer who just wants to get a nice processor for his home theater?
Right. Well,
what's the development of Storm Audio?
It's a very interesting question. Well, in the past 3 years, the platform has quite evolved. You know, from MK1, then we went into the MK2 platform, and now the MK3 that we introduced today. The main market where we are focusing is definitely the home theater at home, but we do indeed a good amount of sales also in the post-mixing studios where Dolby Atmos is mixed because of the technology we have, including, you know, the AES-67 platform where you can have stream coming in and stream coming out. That helps a lot in the mixing consoles as well. So that's type of market. Home cinema is definitely the #1. In terms of, let's say, the sales, you mentioned Germany. It's really a really good market for us with the job you do. The main market right now is definitely the US still. That's definitely the biggest for us. I believe we do half of our sales over there with the products.
Please allow me a very direct question.
Yes.
What do you think in terms of the competition is the major advantage you see in your processors, and what do you see and what do you think is the point where you still are about to improve the processors, where you think, okay, we still have to chase the competition? Where do you think is your strength and weakness of your processors? It's a very difficult question.
It's a difficult question indeed. Well, the strength is that our platform is really modular. We build the processor in a way that we can scale it over time, meaning that right now, if you look at the MK3 as it is, it keeps the legacy of you buy a product that is 16 channel based with the HDMI up to the latest standard, and then depending on your need, you just buy whatever you need. So like if you want to do an analog cinema with traditional amplifiers and speakers, you will just take our analog optional modules, either to go to 24 channels or 32 channels, so you can stay analog. But you can also say, I'm using active speakers, I have specific crossovers, I want to do all that digital. Well, with our products, you can just take the right option, go into digital domain, whether this is AES EBU, so the traditional point-to-point connection, or through the network with the AOIP.
Yeah.
So AES-67 is to us one of the really thing for the future. This is where we see the evolution coming. It embeds indeed what you mentioned about the studios. With all the content now that are mixed, looking at Dolby Atmos and all that, there are many more studios coming in the field. We see a good potential also for our products to go there. As you know, mastering verifications. You do your mix, then you can decode and verify real time. So that's part of it. So I would say this is our strength, the modularity of our platform. The software structure that we have built allows us to add features every year, actually every 6 months. Where we still need to, I would say, work for is to add even more flexibility on how you can use the processor in multiple environments. Let's say you're in a room where you have different speakers. Maybe you want to use 16 channels in one direction of the room and maybe 16 channels in another direction.
Yeah.
Well, at the moment, this is not that easy to do it, but we're working on that.
I appreciate that, sir.
Actually, by the end of the year, we'll have a new software that will allow you to reconfigure all your 32 channels to do whatever you want, and call that by simple preset selection. So you'll be able to have like maybe the 32 channel one direction, maybe another direction, or also say, this time I just want to have a small portion, 5.1 system within the room. You can do that. You can work on your calibration for each of these modes. So that's what we're working on. So again,
Okay.
the software allows that by just software upgrades, free upgrade to our customers.
That's good to hear. That's the biggest point on my personal wish list, as we recently
great.
installed a big home theater with 3 rows, and we would like to be able to select within one profile between 7, 1, 6 or 5, 1, 2 with array speakers being used in the surround field. And this was not possible with MK2.
Indeed. So I must admit that we have limited resources. So at Storm Audio we always take a good amount of time to prioritize the features that we need to come with. And this year we think this is now the right time to really extend that. Recently, with the software, the 4.3 R0, we have enhanced our multi-room capability by adding the Matrix feature to the HDMI board. So now you are able to really create multiple zones. So
It
your
runs
theater,
pretty stable, by the way. I just tested it in a customer's installation.
Yeah.
Was pretty amazing to see that it's quite fast and stable. It's good.
Yeah, and this is really, it complements our multi-room capability. You can create a theater and multiple audio zones. So now you can link the second HDMI port to one of the audio-video zone. But you can also say, I just want to use the Matrix function, meaning you have another processor or a TV that can do the decoding. You just want to go, select the inputs, route the HDMI unprocessed to your TV. Well, now you can do that as well. While you can watch something in your theater, while you watch another thing in your kitchen. That's lovely.
It's very innovative. I do not know another company in this specific price region with this kind of processors that offer this feature. You just mentioned MK3 processor.
Yes.
It's the first time I see the processor in action, and it's like BMW's iX. It looks better in real life than just on a paper. But the point is, there are some few technical changes compared to MK2. Though it's not a
it's not a major
tech step.
No, yeah.
What led you to make MK3 as you just could MK2 being produced some more months?
It's a very good question. There was no hurry to go into the MK3. But the main reason is that we launched the Core 16 a few months ago, and the Core 16 come with a totally
we'll talk
new
later
display.
about Core 16.
We'll look at it, but we have a new display on the Core 16 that allows us to provide more information to the customer.
Unfortunately, this is a
It
mock-up.
is off right now. No, it's not a mock-up, it's just not powered actually.
Okay,
but
you did not pay the power
we
bill.
will look at the Core 16 afterwards, but now you can have the view meters, you can have all the HDMI information available
and
on
you
the front
paid very
panel.
much attention on putting in the new LCD display on the device.
So that's number one.
Do you think there was such a big demand for VU meters?
Yes, actually yes.
Even though most of the devices are hidden in a rack?
Yeah, well, that's not the case anymore.
Okay.
The Storm Audio products, they are indeed more for technical rack in big home cinema, but we see more and more the use in lounge, where actually you have an hi-fi rack where you see the products. So that was one of the, let's say, need for going to the MK3. The second one is the design. We have reharmonized the whole design between the processor and the amplifiers. So this is also the PA MK3.
It's very neat looking.
Yeah, so that's the the Storm,
And I think you made a very good job, because this amplifier is also supposed to match Core 16 quite well.
Exactly, and we look at that afterwards. The second thing with this processor is that we were talking about, migrating more into the lounge. If you come here, for example, this is a little change. But this is actually a major one.
Okay, so the power supply.
So far, the fan here.
Yeah.
So far, the fan was in the back panel, small size. We had some criticism that in rooms where you sit close to the product, you could hear a little bit the fan. We change it now. We go to a very low noise fan, so you will not hear it at all anymore.
Okay.
So in the lounge, you will not listen to it. So that's the second thing. And the third thing is that we also harmonized it with the output.
What's the reason for that? Did you want to save some money or not having
No, actually we have customers who want to be able to have use of an external DAC for their stereo systems, use their own DAC. So by using the digital optical output, they can use an external high quality DAC maybe to drive a stereo system. So that was another reason to, let's say, combine the technology that we migrate on the Core 16 into the MK3. For the rest, it is indeed an MK2 on the platform
But
side.
there's nothing bad on MK2
No,
because I think in
everything's
terms
good.
of sound quality it outperforms anything in this price range. That's my opinion. And we also got quite a lot of stereo people who are extremely happy with this device. By the way, das hier ist jetzt nicht normal, dass die so raussteht. Would you mind to explain the specifications of this unit? Because I see there is a digital output and digital input being equipped.
Okay. So here it is indeed to emphasize that the product is modular and that you can just extend or choose the features you want by simply replacing the modules. So this unit is equipped right now with 32 channel analog outputs, 32 channel in and out of audio over IP, so this is AES67, so this is audio over a network. And here we have a 16 channel AES EBU. This is for a DCP server or maybe another processor outside the product. So that's the features that we have here. So you can do both analog and digital in this unit.
And the good thing is there's also 5 years of warranty on these products too.
Yes.
My criticism of Storm Audio is relating to the amplifiers. There's nothing bad on the PA16, but I wish there were more variety, more other amplifiers that matches the processor.
The products? All right.
And by the way, 16 amplification channels does not match perfectly if you need at least one subwoofer channel. But
well, it depends on whether you want a bridge or not. So you know, with the PA16, we recently informed our customers that you can actually use it also in bridge mode.
Yeah, that's good. So
you can drive subwoofers because you get 800 watts, which is, I would say, more than enough for most of the passive subwoofers.
But basically, do you consider to extend the amplifier range of Storm Audio nearby with Class AB or just Class D?
We are definitely considering Class AB at the moment.
Okay.
It's a bit early to announce it, but we're working on something.
Because this one is also the same price like Core 16, and to match Core 16, you would need some more low-priced amplifiers.
Yes. So just follow us this year, and you will hear more about it.
Okay, let's talk about Core 16.
Let's go.
This one is brand new. Have you seen my review on YouTube on the Core 16 yet?
I must admit, not yet.
Oh, what a shame. I will send you the link.
All
okay.
Right.
These people are actually checking the device.
Yes.
It has a very distinctive, clean look, in my opinion.
Yes.
I'm curious to see whether the display is going to evolve in its capabilities and in its look and graphical design and usability. Of course, this is now the first firmware, the official firmware, but now the second has been released.
Well,
where you can also adjust the display within the browser interface.
Yes.
Yes.
So, yes, indeed. So with the Core 16, this display was introduced, and this is the one that we have actually indeed used now also on the MK3. This display allows us a very nice readability, and also, as I mentioned, the view meter, all the features on information, on the HDMI, more flexibility. But that also opens us the door to bring more into the future. Well, for now this is what we have, but this will open. Yeah.
Well, I suppose you pay a lot of attention to design and aesthetics.
Yes, we try.
Will there be an alternate color finish, as many people prefer to use them in a living room?
As like silver?
I personally, I'm a black guy. I really like black products, black cars, black everything, black clothing. But many people really wish they could get this one in silver.
Well, it's a good question. Today, we don't consider that. Because the demand is very limited, but it's something that maybe we can think about in the future, but that's really not a demand at the moment. The black finishing is really still, I would say, #1 in the demand.
By the way, can you still change some minor details on the amplifier when it's going to be launched?
It is launching now.
Oh, okay.
These are production versions.
Okay, that's nice to know. Did you
those are the exact
notice
finishing.
that the Storm Audio logo is in different size and different location?
On the Core 16, you're right, but not on the MK3.
So this is matching. Johnny Katsu is not saying this is perfect. This is not perfectly matching the Storm Audio logo on Core 16. Well, that's a minor detail. I just saw it. But in general, it's a pretty good balance, like I already mentioned before, with the design, which teams up pretty well with Core 16 and MK3 as well.
Indeed.
Talking about Core 16, Sebastian, now comes a very difficult question. We have a nice home theater community that really appreciates the sound quality of Storm, but there are just there's a limited number of people who can afford to buy a Core 16, even though it's targeted to cheaper pricing, but it's still 13 grand including VAT.
Yes.
And when opening the product, it's not that vast landscape of technology compared to a Marantz receiver. It's more inside, it's heavier, it seems like you get more for your money. Even though I really know this one sounds very, very superior and you can adjust much more. But my question is, what's the reason for the big price of the product? And what's the challenge to position this kind of processor at 7 or 8K? So it seems impossible, as I knew it was one time targeted to be at 10 grand and then it turns up to be more expensive. Is it that much it's human engineering that is so expensive, or did you choose to put in very expensive parts at the end of the day?
There's a lot of questions in your
so can you pick one?
well, the point is that when we defined and we designed the Core 16, that was already more than a year ago. It's actually right during the COVID. What happens is that we were definitely targeting to be below 10K. That was our target.
Including VAT.
Including VAT. But we then faced all the component increases, price increase, like anybody here in the show. We had to realign. I mean, at the beginning we started to take on us, but we could not. We could not in the end, because the increase was, in some components, we had to pay some of them like 10 times their price. So it's okay for small ones, but when it goes for all of them. So we had to increase the price, and this is why we end up now at 13K. Now, to go back into why are we so expensive, or let's say expensive?
No, it's not you specifically, I think, compared to some competition.
The main idea is if you compare Sound United just behind us right now, I mean, you know, they are selling worldwide in really huge quantity. We are still a small actor in this industry.
So you need to keep on buying more of these in order to get the price down.
Exactly. If you want us to lower our costs, we need to make sure that we can sell more. With this, you need the Core 16. We have already seen the sales number increase significantly, which means that even though this is at 13K, we already touch, let's say, we are closer to what customer can afford if you compare to the MK3. Now it's a matter of time. As any platform, we are working with our development team in, you know, how do we say that? Making sure that we shrink all the technology into less components, into newer
to be more
version.
effective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we try to integrate more. So this is the work that is ongoing, and this is the only work that can help us decrease the cost, because our structure, you know, we are most of the company is an R&D. I would say 70% of our cost is R&D people. So it's a lot of investment each year. And as you know, we are releasing software regularly. We add features. We come with new modules, etc. So this development costs.
Yeah.
So we have to make money on that.
Basically, you have to tell customers that you're not going to pay the majority of the price just for components. It's
components
software.
and R&D, and then
basically it's the same with an iPhone.
Yes, but we have chosen to manufacture in France, which is also another, I would say, challenge. You know, when you manufacture in France, you have to take the labor cost for France. All the different industrialization is also built in France. So to us, this is very important in terms of quality, in terms of make use of the people locally, to build things in France. But this has a cost, indeed. We could go to China and maybe lower the cost by 20-30%, but that's not our target. At least not for now. We want to maintain our quality. And just to confirm and to conclude on that is that the Core 16 is not a, let's say, a diminished product compared to the MK3. No, it is the exact same platform as the MK3,
and the same
MK2,
sound.
The same DAC board. We have not removed anything on that. It is just limited to 16 channels. Version. No.
It's just
so you have an high-end product in your hands here. Yes, this is expensive for most people, including myself. But when you invest in a product like that, you invest for 10 years. You know, we have 5 years warranty. we are ensuring the upgradability on the software. On HDMI, the board is upgradable, so whenever HDMI 2.1 is finished in the development on our side, we will offer it as an upgrade to our customer.
Okay.
And if things evolve, keeps evolving, we'll do that as well.
Okay.
And the same applies to some other parts. When there will be a major change, let's say in the decoder, that's something that we'll be able to offer. So this is also what you pay when you buy a Storm Audio product. The upgradability, the sustainability over time is one of the things that is critical.
Okay,
we are,
sense, yeah.
of course, sensitive to costs. We are already, let's say, looking at all the feature set that we offer, direct live with bass control, all the flexibility in the way to configure the room. This is actually a quite, not attractive, but competitive product, right?
I'm totally with you, yeah.
That's really, here we are. Of course, we would love to be able to go down in price and go into the yard where you will find all the other.
Well, I do not mean specifically that really, Storm Audio is too expensive. Yeah. I just meant that most people do not understand the challenge of having a fully programmable programmable that has been individualized by so many software engineers to be able to do all the stuff you can do, active crossover and stuff like that.
Yes.
So it's a lot of software basically.
It's a lot of software, yeah.
When looking to Denon Marantz, I think they use the processor you can buy on the market with very little changes, and so you're not able to do all the crossover and equalization stuff. In most cases, you are not even able to change a direct measurement you once did. You have to use it, and you do not even are able to change crossover frequencies or from subwoofer or stuff like that.
Yeah, this you can do indeed. Yeah.
Well, finally, I'd like to conclude our conversation by talking about decoders and upmixers.
Yes.
There's two topics, Auro 3D and Storm XT.
Okay.
You choose which one to discuss first.
Well, let's start with Auro 3D.
Auro 3D. Well, even though I do not really think it's sensible to use Auro 3D codec on Atmos decoded streams. There are some people who think that in some Atmos titles there is not many sound going on in the ceilings, and they wish to use Auro upmixer on Atmos tracks.
Okay.
And I know it's not possible unless you stream in legacy stream to the device. What's the challenge? Or otherwise asked, is it possible in some time to change the processing structure so Atmos is being decoded in the first stage and then Auromatic is being applied to that stream? Is that possible? Well, it's allowed, but nobody does it right now.
I understand the question. Well, one of the main, the basic answer is simple. When we do develop a product that is Dolby Atmos.
Oh, please excuse me for interrupting you. Did you ever had this demand I just asked you for from any other person rather than?
We had it.
Okay.
Already. Yeah. That's something we know. That's something we understand, especially considering that now, I would say, some of the content you get on Dolby Atmos, the quality on the mixing is not the best, and you will not find some content. You will not get objects, or this will just be a mix in 5.1.2. You know, like this is very limited. In that case, I do understand the need of that. Now, from a development standpoint, from a brand standpoint, the main issue is that when we develop a product with Dolby Atmos, we do certify the product. We have to follow some rules given by Dolby, and Dolby, the rules is very simple. If you have a Dolby Atmos stream, you need to decode it in Dolby Atmos. So far we were following that, but I do believe that we can imagine that we could have a kind of mode where actually you force to the legacy decoding and then use the upmix.
But in this case, you lose the 3D objects or
you would lose the
position of the objects on the ceiling.
Yes.
And this is my question: whether
the question is whether
possible
you could
to retain the positions,
while retain the position and apply upmix on the rest of the system.
Is that possible? Do you think?
I would say everything is possible if you look at that. But now in terms of going into this, it would mean to go into let's say some low-level details on the Dolby Atmos decoder, and be able to apply the upmixing from another at the same time. So that's something that would have to be studied. That would be let's say, it's kind of wet dreams, I believe. It's definitely something that would make sense. But that helps me transition into what I would say the Storm XT as broad at some points.
Okay.
We could not go to the level that you're asking, but with the Storm XT we are actually at least helping to solve one of the problems with the multiple codecs.
Would you mind to explain the function of Storm XT?
Storm XT.
In just explain some sentences.
Yes. So when you look at the different codecs right now, if you have a constellation of speakers in your room, you might have speakers that are actually not used in one specific codec. So for example, Dolby Atmos does not support overheads, so the voice of God, and the center front height, giving these two examples. Yeah. With the Storm XT, if you have these two speakers in place, because you are also an Oro 3D fan, right? When you apply the Storm XT, you play a Dolby Atmos stream. In this case, the Storm XT will make such a way that we create a voice of God and a certain front height. So you do not have, let's say, silent speakers, right?
Yeah.
So we do not work as an upmixer. We do not create signal within the channels that are decoded by Dolby, for example, but any speaker that is silent, not supported natively by the codec, we do create content for it.
The ambient noise.
It's
being separated from the overall sound.
The way the Storm XT works is that we are using a different, let's say, algorithm to analyze the stream, to analyze the soundtrack of the different speakers surrounding the silent speakers. And we are able to extract, let's say, the direct sound from the diffused sounds. And we do use this diffused sound to recreate the speakers, the silent speakers.
Let me allow one question. What led you to program this feature? Was there a demand from certain dealers or markets, or was it your idea to get this feature?
Well, this was our frustration at Storm Audio to not be able to offer our customer a way to use all their speakers, or at least most of their speakers. So it comes first from Storm Audio, but that's also something that I would say we could gather from a lot of people when you look at the discussions around the different codecs. So that's where we are today.
Okay.
Now the Storm XT, we are definitely, we would like to push it a little bit further by going into more intimacy on the different codecs, but that requires a lot more development. So the idea is that you know that, for example, a lot of mix in Dolby Atmos. If you have like an 11.1.8 setup in your place, you might end up with some mix with like only a 7.1.4 or even a 5.1.2 playback if you do not have any objects. It's kind of a shame to me, you know, if you invest in so many speakers and you're not able to use all of them, it's kind of a shame. So to us, the next level, the next target would be to be able to go into that and offer a kind of mix in there. This is really where it would make a lot of sense from an end user standpoint.
From your side of view, what's the most common setup people use with Storm Audio processor?
With a processor like this?
Atmos?
To me, yeah, well, 714 plus 4 subwoofers, but maybe 716 with 2 subs, that could be one. But actually, I think, yeah, well, that would be this one. But indeed, that depends quite a lot on the room size. If you have a wide room, I would recommend to go to a 9.1.4, for example, and then 2 subs. That's definitely what I would say is a logical one to go for.
Well, there are so many other points we could discuss about, like the subwoofer features that are really top of the notch. When looking at the MK3, you can buy as package for Core 16 along with Storm XT and the HDMI matrix. But we will soon show this when making a elaborate YouTube video from MK3. And well, if you subscribe our channel, jetzt können wir wieder auf Deutsch sprechen, wenn Sie unseren Kanal abonnieren, dann kriegen Sie natürlich mit, wenn wir die MK3 vorstellen. Sebastian, it was a pleasure showing me around your booth, and looking forward to MK3 launch. What's the scheduled date this one hits the shelves in Europe?
It's shipping actually now. It's just
so
that
basically when I get home,
we go into a first in, first out. So we are now starting to prepare the shipment for the first customers.
Oh, that's
order.
Good. Once I'm back, I will get some MK3s in front of my house.
Contact the sales team and you will get.
Looking forward to that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Auf Wiedersehen.